Hey guys, in this video we'll be continuing with the Python video tutorials. We'll be going over modules, user created modules, and a menu driven program. So you'll be using menu driven programs sometimes, depending on what you're doing. You will come across them if you are in a computer science major. You'll probably come across them if you're not a computer science major, but if you're working on just maybe some personal projects or some other work projects, you may see it. So what we're going to do is we'll go into creating these modules, one for circle, one for area. Sorry, one for circle, one for rectangle. So I'll click File, New. We'll go with Python file. I guess that's the best choice here. I should say module, but it doesn't. But we'll call it circle. So C-I-R-C-L-E. Don't think we need to type .py. I'll just hit enter. So now we have a circle.py. I believe that's what it says at the top. So I'm going to change this to area. So I'll say def area and def circumference, and I'll cut these. Actually, I'll copy it first just in case, and I'll cut it. So put them in here. So now we have our circle.py module, which has an error. We need to import math in this case. Probably that's what it is. So import math. Bingo. So we'll just go to the next one. I'll go area here, same idea, and I'll do perimeter. So I'll create another file. I guess a module, Python module. So we'll say, I don't know if you can see these options. Sometimes the recorder doesn't catch them. So it has a list of options. I'm going to choose Python file if you're in pycharm. Then it comes up with a new Python file. It wants you to name it. Comes up with a text field. So we'll just type in rectangle, R-E-C, tangle. Python file. I think you can put a .py. Maybe not. But I'm not going to put a .py. I'm just going to type in rectangle. Then I'll select Python file and hit enter. And now we have a rectangle.py file. So I'll copy these, cut it, import math again. Then I'll paste them in. What is this missing here? What is up with this error? It doesn't like the names? Okay, right, yeah, this is gonna have some problems here. So we're gonna say that the area, did I mess this up before? I might have. So if I messed this up before, all we're gonna do is we're gonna take, did I actually mess this up? Oh, that's alright. It's not really a big deal. If you guys are watching and wondering what width and length we're finishing that code here, so don't worry about it. So we'll say that area takes a width if I forgot to. I swear I put it in, but maybe not. So that's the parameters. So of course area takes a width and a length, and perimeter takes a width and a length. You can have white space in them or not. Doesn't really matter. So we'll go back to our main module here. And we'll just write our menu driven program. So we will have, this time we'll import, instead of math, we'll import our user defined module. So we'll say import circle, then at the bottom we'll have import import rectangle. So any import statements that you have if you have multiple import statements, they just go below each other. And then at the bottom we'll just have our def main. actually no, before that we'll have some constants. So we'll have area, we could have, yeah, so area, we'll have circle area, choice, we'll point it to 1, then we'll have of course it'll be circle, but we don't need to do it, we could just say circumference. Points to 2. We'll say rectangle area, underscore area, points to 3. We'll have rectangle, we just have perimeter. Actually, yeah, maybe we'll have rectangle perimeter. So we'll have, actually we could probably put circle here too. That's fine, circle circumference. Here we'll point that to 4. And then here we'll have just a quit. So we'll just have a quit choice here. So we'll say quit points to 5. We could have an exit, whatever. Exit, quit, whatever you want. Whoops. Alright, so we'll have our def main here. So here we could just set user choice to point to 0. So we could have here while, actually maybe we'll just keep this to quit then. So here, it doesn't really matter, whatever you want, name whatever you want if you're following it along. So here we'll just have a while loop, so we'll say while user choice. You're going to be using that loop a lot. Does not equal to quit. Then proceed into the loop. So we'll have a display menu here. So if we're doing that, we can say we want to display menu. Which it doesn't know what it is. So actually probably doing the main function right now isn't the best idea. Is it? We'll come back and do it, so let's just comment these out. Let's go for display menu. So I have a function that's, I believe it's a void function. So this is our menu driven, this is the base of our menu driven program here, so it's a function. You don't have to do it as a function, you can just do it in main. It's up to you. Doesn't hurt to make it a function though, so we can have display, we can say def display menu, which doesn't take any parameters. So all it does is just, there's no input here. We could actually do the input here. We could loop the input here, so enter your choice. For example, the user can just select 1 to 5. In this case, but sorry, not in this case, but that's another case. But in this case, we can do just printing out the actual strings here. So we'll just say, okay, well, the option for menu is is going to be like this. We'll print the menu. So print, so you could say enter or press or enter. Maybe press 1 for area of a circle. Here we could have press 2 for circumference of a circle. Here we'll have press 3 for area of a rectangle. Print press for perimeter of a rectangle. And then here we could have lastly, actually not lastly, this is the, actually it is the last, press 5, or basically anything else other than in this case. But because since we're not going to complete the full error checking, it's going to take too long. We'll get into all that later on. So what I mean by that is, like, for example, so here we're going to say for, or we could say press 5 to quit. But let's say the user pressed 6, or the user pressed like the letter A or the letter L, the letter P, C, V, I, whatever, or like a symbol, comma, period, apostrophe, some random alt code, something like that, number sign, dollar sign, percent, anything, right? If they press any one of those things, other than the options here, we'd have to error check for them. We'll get into that later. We'll probably, we don't need to do that right now, but if we did that, we'll have to do a couple things. We'd have to make sure that it wasn't those, of course. I think since Python uses the ASCII table, I believe, you just have to make sure that the character values aren't a certain number of character values, and it only can be limited to these 5. We'll do an example of that later on. There probably is some built-in methods also, or functions, to check for that in Python, to check for error checking, so we'll do that later. Don't worry about it right now. So here, after all that, actually that'll just be that's a void function, so it doesn't return anything. No type, doesn't return anything. No, it doesn't return a type, doesn't return a value, so we'll just leave it like that. So the next thing we can do, actually we're going to have a few options here. Alright, so let's continue. Oh, whoops, where did my notes go? Okay, where is it? Alright, so here they are again. Apologize. So we have well, is this the whole code? I wonder, so we'll just go with what I have here. So we're at display menu, so we can go back to that, so we'll take these hash codes out. So display menu. Continue to loop if the user choice isn't 5, which would be quit. This one here, quit. So we'll continue from there. So here we'll get the user choice. Okay, here we go. So here we have, whoops, so we'll have here we'll have, so there's of course a bunch of ways you can do this. This is one way. Of course you could probably think of like 100 different ways to do this, so we'll have, or more. So we'll have, we'll recall our user choice variable. We'll set it to point to an int because that's what we want. We'll call the input function here, and we'll say enter a selection, or select an option, whatever. Select an option 1 to 5. Perhaps a new line after that. Then we'll say, so we'll start with our ifs. If user choice. This is how the menu-driven program works. We have if user choice is equal to, for example, 1, but in this case we have constants for that. So we have, for option 1, we have circle area choice, which would be 1, of course. Then we'll say we'll have just a radius points to float to cast to the input cast it to the input function. Then we'll say enter the circle's radius. Enter the circle's radius. And we'll say, we said circle area, okay, then we'll say here, and we'll print area is, this might get a little complicated, probably one of the most advanced things we've done so far, which is okay. It's good to practice those skills. So we have the circle area is not extremely complicated, but it's has a little bit of coding here. So we'll have the area is, we'll say comma here. We'll call here. I might want a space there, so we'll say comma. We'll call here circle. We'll call our module circle. We'll call area. I spelled it wrong, didn't I? Circle dot, there we go, area, which takes a radius. Passed it in. Just like that. So print the circle area is circle dot area passing in radius. After that, we'll say, we'll get out of that if. We'll say elif now. So we have to get out of the if, of course we got out of the indentation. So I had to hit the backspace. So we'll say elif user choice is equal to circumference, or circle circumference. Shift semicolon, and here I'll say we'll have our radius statement again. Radius points to float. Passing in the input function, we'll say again enter the circle's radius. Put new lines here, actually, sorry. Go back up here, put a new line. Back here, put a new line. So we'll say, okay, enter the circle's radius, and then we'll say we'll print it. Same idea, so we'll say print the circle's circumference is excuse me, so we'll have circle dot circumference, we'll call it, passing in radius, pass it in, and we're done with that. So we'll go to the next line, get out of the indentation. Let me make this just a bit smaller. Okay, that's good. So here we'll have another elif. Excuse me. So we'll say elif, user choice. Points to rectangle area. So rectangle area, and then we'll say so we have an elif user choice points to rectangle area. Then we'll say shift semicolon, in the elif we'll say width points to float, cast it to input, cast it to enter the rectangle's width. New line. So we'll have width, and then here we'll have length. Points to float, cast it to the input function. Then we'll say the string is enter the rectangle's length. New line. And here we'll print the same idea here, so we'll say print the rectangle area is, comma, we'll call a rectangle module, hit the dot operator, select area, pass in width, then we'll hit a comma, then we'll pass in length, and done. We'll get out of the indentation. We'll have another elif here. We'll say user choice is equal to rectangle perimeter, shift semicolon. I see a lot of coding, as you can see, is repetitive, so you'll be doing the same process with different things. So if you're instantiating objects to like take down user data for like a form, like for an app, for like a sign up, you're signing up someone for your app or their app, whatever, someone's app, either it's your company or someone else's, and you're writing the form, so you're writing the process to get the data. So it's like, okay, we'll enter your first name, then we'll next elif, enter your last name, elif, enter your birth date, elif, enter your gender, elif, enter your email or your mobile number, elif, then and finally else, and we're done. So it's kind of like, it's pretty much like that. Like the first one, enter your name, first name, then next one, enter your last name, enter your, it's pretty much, a lot of it is like, it's like this, like we're choosing our conditions, once we have one, we move to the next one, or we choose our options and all that. Yeah, so this pretty much, it's similar. It's everything in coding is all related. So if you think we're just, oh well, this is a boring math grade 2 math problem, I want to learn the real stuff. Well, this is the real stuff. Really, all we're just gonna do later on is we're gonna change these from circle area, rectangle area to like enter user 1 information, user 2 information, all that. Each user, we could instantiate a user object. We'll do that later on. Well, maybe not in Python, but we'll show you how to do it. How to instantiate objects and all that, but for a class. But anyways, if we are doing that, it's like we're going to increment each object by 1 and we're going to loop it. And for each person, it's just we're doing the same thing over and over again. So that's really what it is. This is the bread and butter right here. If, else, for a while. That's pretty much all you're going to be using with those. So learn those concepts, booleans, and all that. So here we have elif, user choice is equal to. So we have rectangle perimeter. So I'll hit enter. And here we'll take the parameters. So we'll say we'll have width here, points to, float, cast it to input, string takes, enter the rectangle's width. New line. And here we'll have length, same thing. Length points to float, cast to the input function, enter the rectangle's length, new line. Then here at the end we'll print the string, the parameter, perimeter is comma after the string, then we'll call rectangle, our module rectangle, dot, then we'll call our function we created perimeter, and we'll say we're going to pass in width as parameters, comma length. And that's it. Then here, at the end we'll have, so there is actually some error checking that you can do. This is one way to do an error checking. So we'll actually have an elif instead of an else here. So we'll just do one more elif. So we'll have elif user choice points to, or is equal to, quit, which is going to be 5. And we'll say shift semicolon, new line, indent, which it does automatically in pycharm for the indent. Then we'll say print see you later, whatever, some kind of exit message to the user or alert, whatever. And here we'll have, so we will have an error checking here. So the way you can error check this is we can have an else, which is just a default case. So anything other than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will print error invalid choice was selected. So you could re-loop that if you want. Yeah, I guess it will re-loop. So we could have re-enter at the end. Re-enters choice or whatever selection. So there is some error checking, as you can see. If it's not one of these options, then it will be, if it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, either it's a number, another letter, another symbol, then it's going to hit that default case. So it's not 1 to 5. So there you go, that should be the full thing. Do we really need to step through this? Probably not. Actually, maybe we could. Let's see what we have here. Is that all? I think that's all. Just don't forget to call main at the end. Whoops, I'll move this up. Then after that, we'll just have our main call here. We'll just see if it works first, so we'll just hit Control S, we'll run it. So as you can see, we have our menu here. Excuse me, so we have our press 1 for area of a circle, press 2 for circumference, 3 for area, 4 for perimeter, 5 to quit. So we'll just hit 5 to test it out, hit enter. The message is see you later, so we'll rerun it. Press 1 for area of circle, so we'll press 1, hit enter. Enter the circle's radius, let's just say it's 10. What happened here? Okay, EXP2 didn't work, so we'll have to go back to that. We'll just simply just say it's times radius squared instead of trying to figure that out. So we'll rerun that. I think that should be it. You can use those functions. It's probably a better way to input that data. It didn't like something, so don't worry about it. If you really want to figure it out, you can use a doc. So we'll probably just skip it for now. So we'll just hit play. We'll hit run, and then I'll hit 1, 10. There we go. So the circle's radius is this. Makes sense because it just multiplies it by pi, which is what it got. So it's going to continue to keep going until we hit Q. So we could go 2, enter the circle's radius, 15. Circle's radius is this. Hit 3, enter the rectangle's width, 10. Rectangle's length, 20. We get that. We get the area. The rectangle's area is, as you can see here. Press for the perimeter of a rectangle, so we'll hit 4, 20, we'll hit 30, and we'll say we got that. We did all of them, we'll hit 5, see you later. So there you go. Pretty simple, nothing too hard. Lots of good practice here. Let's see. Do we really need to step through this? I mean, we've gone through this in previous videos, how to step through loops. If you haven't seen that video, I'd start the playlist from the beginning, watch everything. I step through this to the debugger, so I'll set a breakpoint here. I'll hit the debug icon, then we'll jump through each function one by one. With each entry, we'll see our variables changing. That's the best way to learn if you're still stuck. Yeah, I don't think we really need to, we could just do one, try to do a small one here, so let's just say. So we have our constants here, as you can see, in our variable data. I'm going to step in, so that loads into memory right away before we even step into the code because there are globals. So any globals will be saved in that thread right there that I just clicked. So we'll step into this main function call. So it's stepped into main. User choice, I'll hit step over. See, we have our user choice, which is an int set to 0 while user choice does not equal 5, basically, because quit is set to 5. The condition will be true, so we'll step in. Display, it's going to now jump into the display menu function. We'll step in. So it's going to print menu, print that, all of those alerts, done. We're done with the menu function. In our console, you can see we have our data here. This is what we have so far in our program. So we have, I'll click the debugger again. So here if I say, so now it says user choice points to int, enter input and select an option. I'll hit step over, now it's waiting for input. I'll select an option, We'll just do 1, hit enter. It's going to check now the first condition if user choice is equal to 1, which it is. If it wasn't 1 and it was 2, it would go here, but since it's 1, so if it wasn't 1, then this condition would be false. This block would be skipped. I've gone over all this in the previous videos, and we would enter this. We'd proceed with the next elif. It would do the same and check if it's true. If not, it would go to the next one. Basically row by row. But in this case, we have basically block by block. Each elif by each elif would continue. If they're all false, then it would just hit this default case. I've gone over conditional branching in the previous videos one by one, so if you haven't seen that, check it out if you're still confused. I'm gonna skip. I won't hit all the options in this video. So since it's 1, since user choice is equal to 1, as you can see there in our variables, then this condition is going to be true. So I'll step in. Radius is going to now wait for input. It's going to wait for input, so I'll enter something here. Enter 10. I'll hit enter. The circles, now it's going to go, so as you can see we have a radius variable now set to some data. Now it'll print the circle's area is, comma, it'll call that function. Can we step into that? I think when we step into that, it might actually step into the print function. But eventually, the actual built-in Python, whoever coded the Python print function, the Python developer, it'll step into their code. And then eventually it'll probably step into the circle area code, so we'll probably skip that. So now it says while user choice does not equal to quit. Display menu. So it'll continue so as you can see, the code will continue until it's not quit. So now it's going to check for so what we could have done is here we're now checking for what user choice is. Again, we're going to reset user choice and we're going to wait for input from the user. What we could have done is actually, this is a pretty good way to do it, but you can also check at the end of each if or elif. Either way works. There's probably these ways makes the code slightly faster, which is not bad, which is pretty good, I guess. So we'll run. Oh, where did that go? Where did the debugger tab go? Run? Nope. Not run. There we go. Debug. Okay, so now we got user choice points to this. Is it waiting? Yeah, it's waiting. Now it's waiting, so we'll enter an option. We'll just enter 5 here. Hit enter. Of course, it's gonna now, okay, I guess this is good, so it's gonna check, since we have our user choice points to 5. Of course, we have in our console press 5 for quit. So right now in the code, it's gonna check. The debugger is gonna check if, or the Python interpreter is gonna check if user choice here is equal to 5, which it's not. So if user choice isn't 5, then it's gonna skip to the next condition. So skip. So false, false, because it's not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not it is 5. So this one will be true. We'll step in, which it will automatically step in, and we'll say print. See you later. And we're done. So there you go. That's just a quick run through. We didn't hit every option. We didn't get to the default case. But of course, if we didn't enter 1 to 5, it would hit the default case. So we'll probably just finish up there. This is how to do a menu-driven program with options. How to import modules. So yeah, so hopefully you guys liked the video, you guys learned something. If you guys liked the video, you can give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more programming videos, more languages, or any trading or investing stuff, you can subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Take care.